Are you ready?
Yes.
I like that. Yes, thought about it for a split second. Yeah. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, start looking left, pull a Yui, park in front of the store, have your own podcast here in our beautiful studio. Dave will tell you how at the end. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Come on the show with me. I think that covers it. I think that's everything.
Wait, I could have my own podcast?
You can.
Wow.
Isn't it obvious? I mean, anybody can. If I could do it, anybody could do it. Yeah. Well, we're here today, the legendary Scott Murawski.
Legendary.
Well, you know what?
In his own mind. He's a legend in his own mind.
I speak the truth. This is the John Peckman Truthful Podcast. No, Scott Murawski, guitar player, among other things.
Among other things.
Drummer. No, so Scott, I think around these parts, most people know, is a founding member?
Not quite.
Right.
Not quite a founding member. There's only one founding member, and that's John.
Oh, okay.
And then I joined a year in.
Oh, okay. Well, Max Creek. We're talking about Max Creek, kids. Band, legendary band around here since when? 1971. Ooh. I was 4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's heavy. Sorry.
I was 14.
So. Wow. Hey, that's pretty cool. That's not bad. So Max Creek, still a thing.
Still a thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Still goes.
Yeah.
Still goes on.
Still goes.
Continues.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. There's a certain thing to it being. It's not, there's 3 people in the front that have been there for 50 years or more.
Okay.
And then the drummer and percussionists are they're like been there 10 years or so.
But give us the quick from the beginning, just so we know.
From the beginning
of Creek. Let's do Creek real quick, and then we'll go back to your beginning. So.
Okay. So
unless you want to do it the other way, you want to.
No. That's fine. I mean, Creek started in '71 as a 3-piece band with John Ryder, Dave Reed, and Bob Goslin. And Dave Reed was actually my trumpet teacher when I was in elementary school.
Oh boy!
And so he heard me play guitar and said, "Well, you should come jam."
Hey,
it's when I was a sophomore in high school. So I went over and jammed, and they were playing country rock, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Flying Burrito Brothers stuff,
sure.
And whatever. And they were playing some bluegrass, and I was very heavily blues, Led Zeppelin, Steppenwolf, that kind of stuff. And so when I went over to the jam, they started playing bluegrass, and I started playing all this blues stuff, and they were like, no. We want major pentatonic. We want major.
Okay.
But anyway, so they had me come into the band, and I didn't sing. I just played lead on like 10 songs. And then they had a regular gig at the Rocking Horse in Hartford on Saturday nights way back when. And so all the other clubs, they wouldn't tell them how old I was. Drinking age was 18. I was 15 at the time. Wow. And so played there, and they said, well, we got this prodigy. He's only 15. Is that cool? And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And so when I wasn't playing on my 10 songs, I would drink beer. And they banned me from ever coming into the club again. So I got fired.
Oh, wow.
And then, I mean, this is a long story, but and then at one point, Dave Reed got appendicitis, and they called in Mark Mercier to fill in on piano.
Okay.
And so he came into the band and stayed. And then they got me back into the band. They pretended I had an 18th birthday and got me back into the band.
Yeah, they're like, wow, that was a quick 3 years.
Yeah. And so that was kind of it for a long time. And then we had Amy Fasano at the time come in as a female vocalist. Okay. And then Rob Freed came in on percussion shortly after that. A few years after that. And then since then, we lost Rob. Amy left. Bob left. We've gone through a number of drummers, all very good drummers. Greg DeGuglielmo was the first replacement. He's an awesome drummer. And then Greg Vasso replaced him.
Right.
And then Scott Alshouse replaced him. And now we have Bill Carbone.
Right.
As well as now we have J. Merle Stanley on percussion. We have a percussionist again.
So, oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I got to get Bill on here.
Oh yeah.
Gotta reach out.
Yep.
I'm going to get everybody. Everybody, if you heard Scott out, if you heard your name, you just made the list. That's also how it works here because, like, it all connects. So when people start talking, I'm going.
At least the ones that are alive.
Yeah.
anyway.
Well. Yeah. Exactly. Did you know? For whatever it's worth, I think this is kind of cool. You know Doug LaChapelle.
I know. Yeah.
Doug, drummer. When I moved into our house, me and Paula bought a house within the last 3 years, and he sent me some African handheld like shaker percussion things that belong to Rob. That he said keep these, and I have them hung in my studio in honor of. I didn't know Rob that well, but he goes, I know that these will be safe. He gave these to me. These will be. I want you to put these in your house. These are going to be safe. Display them. So I did. So.
That's cool. Jay Morrell has some of its rototoms.
Oh, cool.
And so I think some of his hand percussion too.
So, yeah. So I just it's like shaker type gourd things that are really cool.
I have a Cuica.
Yeah, sure. So that's cool. So it lives on in some kind of way.
Yep.
Because Doug knew I was like, I wasn't going to go, yeah, whatever. I was like, okay, I get it. This is historic. So let me take care of this.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up?
Agawam, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So ended up down in Hartford somehow getting involved.
Well, let's see. So of the three original members, two of them were originally from Agawam. So Bob Gosselin was from Agawam, and Dave Reed was from Agawam, and that's how he ended up being he was in high school. He was a high school trumpet player, and so they paired him with me when I was in 5th grade as a trumpet teacher. And so,
wow.
But he also taught me. There was a period where he said, "Okay, just don't even bother bringing the horn for 3 months because I'm going to teach you some theory."
Oh wow!
And so that was like
that's cool.
Yeah, that was a gift. That was a real eye-opening experience.
How old? When was this?
This is probably when I was 12, maybe.
Yeah. That's about. I think about that too because I teach, and it's like when you're young enough to just do what you're told in a way. Like a teacher is just like, I'm going to teach you theory, and you don't question. You just go, okay. Now I'm glad I got that done because trying to teach adults later,
yes,
it's harder, and I don't blame them. Try teaching me anything, I get it.
Yep.
But it's just funny. It's like I look back and I go, I'm glad I did the public school system because I did learn. I just said, well, this is why I got to learn what they're telling me. And you get it. You understand it at least.
Yeah.
I think it helps.
Much easier to learn things then than it is now.
That's what I'm saying.
As an example.
I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep.
Were your parents musical in any way?
Not particularly. My dad could play harmonica and he could play like dumb little things on the piano.
Yeah.
Excuse me. My grandmother. So my grandparents lived in the same house with my parents. They had
Sure.
They bought a duplex and then they eventually converted it into just one big house. And so when I was very little, there was a piano in the house that was my grandmother's, and so I would reach up and tinkle on the keys or whatever. And so she actually, back in the day when department stores sold sheet music, she worked there, and people would bring her a piece of sheet music and say, what does this sound like? And she would play the music.
Oh, that's so, imagine that.
And I said,
that's crazy.
And so I said to her, you must have read music then. And she said, nah, I just knew the songs and played them by ear. So,
whoa,
so yeah.
That's funny.
So
that's
there
crazy.
is some musical background in there.
Imagine that. That was a gig. I played piano at the department store to let people know. Wow. That's the category of careers that no longer exist for $500 or whatever on Jeopardy. It's like you imagine that?
So
that's cool.
First instrument was piano.
Yep.
I'm like, I got to learn how to play the piano.
Yep.
So, and that was also a gift. Like, if you're going to learn instruments, piano and drums, I think are two essential.
Yeah.
And then and then the trumpet after that was also a gift too, that all contributed to my guitar playing because the piano had the theory all laid out top to bottom. The trumpet taught me how to breathe, how to make melodies that had breath in them or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, all the stuff, every instrument that you learn affects how every other instrument that you learn. I guess maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Why trumpet? Just to get in the school band, probably.
It's funny. They had the assembly. It's like, you want to be in the band, come down to the auditorium. And I went down there and I listened to them talk about every instrument. And I went home and I said, I want to play drums.
Yeah, right.
And my mother's like, no, pick another instrument.
You're like, what's louder and more annoying than drums? I'll play trumpet. They didn't have bagpipes more available or whatever. Can you imagine? Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Were they okay with? Did they realize?
Yeah.
That
They were cool with that.
You were cool with it.
Yeah.
Can you still play?
I can play. I have chops for like embouchure for about 10 seconds. I still know all the fingerings and everything. And I can still play some stuff.
Did you get far? Were you like the first chair dude?
I was second chair because one of my best friends was first chair. He was amazing. He was awesome. Yeah. He still plays.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I ended up going to Holyoke Community College, majoring in music with my trumpet as my main instrument.
Oh, hey.
So
that's cool.
But I dropped out after 3 months. I said, no, not for me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And then when did guitar enter the picture?
Guitar entered the picture when I was 12. I got in trouble with I met a kid at school. He was the new kid at school. He got me in trouble the first day I hung out with him. He's like, because I used to walk to school or whatever. And he was like, just take the bus to my house, man. And so I took the bus to his house. My mother was fuming. And so, but I got to his house and then he's like, check this out. When he reaches under the bed and he pulls out an electric guitar and he plugs it into the Silvertone amp, like piggyback amp with like 6 10-inch speakers and that whole vibe. And he's like, he didn't even play the guitar, he played it with his thumb. He like put his thumb on the fretboard and just messed around. I was like mesmerized. I'm like, I gotta have one. So yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So how long did you end up with something eventually?
Yeah, I asked for one for my 12th birthday basically, and my mom said no, forget it, and then she got me one. And so
that's cool.
I mean, I'd say my mom, but my parents, basically.
Yeah. And you were into it. You just hit it.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I kind of like, I played with my thumb for like a month, and then I threw it in the closet. And then somehow I heard about bass and how it was the same as guitar, but tuned down an octave. So I took it out of the closet and tuned it down an octave and tried playing bass on it, and then threw it back into the closet again. And then shortly after that, a kid showed up at my door and said, hey, we're putting a band together and we heard you play guitar. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So yeah, that was kind of cool. And they had another guitar player who showed me some stuff or whatever. And so that was
just like that.
Wow. But yeah, all self-taught on the guitar.
Hey, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
But you knew enough theory to kind of somewhat.
Right. I could figure it out, and it was interesting because I came up with my own patterns for lead or whatever. And then this other kid that I ended up in a band with later, like he was doing the same notes, but in a different place. I was like, oh, that was like,
right.
So,
what's that all about?
But yeah, self-discovery.
Yeah. Well, that's cool though.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. So then you're the rock guy that shows up at Max Creek or whatever.
Kind of, yes. Yep.
You're like, check this out.
I played before Max Creek, I played organ in a band.
Oh, wow.
That was like with that trumpet player that was the first chair. He also played bass. And then the other guitar player and another drummer friend of mine. So we were 4-piece and we were playing like Santana and Allman Brothers and Alice Cooper. A drummer was really into Alice Cooper. He would play and sing Alice Cooper or whatever. And so there was that. And then came the playing blues licks at Max Creek and.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's cool. So because I mean, I don't know, not trying to make you feel old or anything, but.
It's okay.
Well, Max Creek was always a big deal ever since I can remember. When did it become a big deal, or or do you think you don't think about it like that? Probably.
It had a heyday, I would say. It was a big deal in the 80s.
Okay.
We would play Agora Ballroom, and we would get like 3,000 people in there or whatever. Which for us, that was a big deal. And that lasted a while, and that was good. I mean, but it was always, even before that, we played all the larger clubs, and
so somehow just word got out.
I mean, we did some stuff. We had a hotline and we had a mailing list, and we were like trying to self-promote as best we can with the media that we had at the time, basically. Yeah. And that worked out. Actually, the email list actually worked out pretty well because that kind of caught on, and we had some art sound guy, John Archer, did some amazing artwork and put some stuff together that was really cool or whatever. And the hotline we had business cards that we would pass out that had the hotline number on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody knew the hotline. And
Oh, wow.
so, yeah, it was
What
cool.
was it? 1-800, you know.
You know, it wasn't. It was 203-653 7616 maybe.
Wonder what would happen if we called it. Nothing.
Well, we
You
lost
imagine if
the,
you called
we
it
lost
and you
the number.
answered and you answered? Oh.
We lost the number at one point.
Oh.
We're like unfortunately through a thing with the phone company or I don't know, whatever. We lost the number, and whoever got that number.
So they would call and be recording. Hey man, this is Scott. We're playing at so and so, right? And you just read off the date.
Something
Thursday.
like that, yeah.
That's awesome. That's killer though.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
John did it. John Ryder did most of them. He would do Walk on the Wild Side Wednesdays, which we did in Providence, Rhode Island. We played every Wednesday in Providence from like 1981 until 1994.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that was crazy. And I still people, you know, I go on tour with other bands and go out to the West Coast, and people come up to me and say, "I used to see you with Lupo's in 1985." Like, oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's all right. Do you think? I mean, because I don't know. I'm just gonna, you know, because I don't know how else. You guys must have been really good. Do you think? Was it great? Like right away? Did you guys know that? Like, what else was going on that you guys kind of leapfrogged into your own thing? Do you know why?
That's a good question. That's an interesting question.
Curious because
So one of the things that happened is you know
there must have been a million bands. You know,
there was a lot of bands. So one of the things that happened was, you know, they were like primarily country rock, and then they went to, which just passed the 50th anniversary of Watkins Glen.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yep.
And they saw the Dead and the band and the Allman Brothers, and they came back and they started. I couldn't go. I was too young.
Yeah.
But we started covering Grateful Dead, and and we started jamming and heading in that direction. And so that changed the sound of the whole band. And eventually, Dave, the other guitar player, left because he was more about the acoustic thing, and he still plays acoustic.
Okay.
But we definitely got into the jam situation, and then not long after that, there was the whole clone band thing that started happening, where like the Blushing Brides were the Rolling Stones clone band or tribute bands or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we started getting billed as a Grateful Dead cover band. And
okay. Even though you weren't really.
Even though we weren't really, we were doing some Dead on the set, but we were also writing and whatever. So eventually, it got to a point where we said, okay. I got to a point where I was fed up. I'm like, I'm not going to play any more Grateful Dead songs. We're just going to focus on. I'm going to focus on the originals, and that's what I'm going to bring in, and that's what we're going to do. And so, and during the '80s, there was a lot of writing going on in the band. So we had a lot of original material.
That's cool. So it just happened. You had enough of a. People weren't going to stop coming just because you didn't play Grateful Dead tunes anymore.
I'm sure some people maybe they did. Maybe they heard, oh, go see them. They play Grateful Dead or whatever. Then when they show up, we don't play any. So I'm sure that probably bummed some people out. But I think the style, there wasn't a ton of bands at that time that were jamming, that were doing the improv stuff that we were doing in between songs and stuff. And so that I think was a really good selling point for us to have that kind of ability. And
who else was doing that? Were you guys like the first band around here to do stuff like that? A jam band, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, right. I think around here, I think there was a couple bands in Long Island or New Jersey that were they were Grateful Dead cover bands. And they were doing that kind of thing. But
so people knew like this is the vibe. You're gonna come and they're just gonna.
Yeah,
kind of do it
right, and
That's cool.
we made this is back in the day when everybody brought their own PA. The clubs didn't have PA systems, and people would bring their own PA. And so we went through this whole thing. We saw the Dead and their wall of sound or whatever. And so we in the band. There's a bunch of guys who are really good with like construction and electronics and everything. So we built this mini wall of sound, and we had we'd use like. The Dead used differential microphones where they had two microphones right next to each other, and one was wired out of phase, and so you just sing in one, and anything that goes into both microphones gets canceled out, and you would just sing in one, and so we were able to, instead of having monitors, we had the PA system behind us, and so so we'd go into these clubs and we'd build this wall of sound, and then we built a
and that's cool.
Lighting rig.
People are freaking out over that. Too.
Yeah,
like
the whole idea was a concert in a bar kind of thing.
Hey man.
So
why not? That's cool.
So yeah, we were trying to be cutting edge and innovative and give them an experience that they wouldn't get from other bar bands.
Hey man, well, it worked.
Seems to have,
right?
Yes.
Well,
seems to have, yes.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Who mostly the writing? Everybody?
Pretty much everybody, yeah. I probably write the most, but John's written a ton of stuff. Mark's written some stuff.
Okay. But when people think of Max Creek Originals, it's you? I don't know much about Max Creek, I got to be honest.
Me and John, I would say. And well, no, the three of us really. We know when we play live, we rotate, you know what I mean? So it goes around the three of us. And so I don't know how people think about it, but
yeah. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're the guy or there is no guy. That's kind of the thing, right?
That's kind of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's killer. That's cool.
And now Bill Carbone writes and he brings stuff in. Okay. So yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Did you ever sing as a drummer?
Me?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a singer. Yeah.
You were in that Disco Hell band. You sung in that, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah. No, I'm a singer. I've always been a singer. I was the singer in 8 to the Bar just about for a while. I was almost the main guy singer for a period. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's a thing. But you'll never hear that. That'll never happen. But yeah. Well, and then how did the Camp Creek and the Strange Creek and the whatever else? How did all that? Because that's a thing.
That's a thing. There was a friend of ours that lived down in Narragansett, Rhode Island. He was an artist, or his dad was an artist, I think is the way it works, and did very well for himself. And he had a mansion in Narragansett right on the water. And so he would have these Narragansett blowout parties, and his son.
Oh, I think Mark was talking about this a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we'd set up right on the beach.
Yeah.
People would camp right on the beach and whatever, and so. We did that like 3 years in a row, like 75, 76, and 77.
Hey, this is cool. Yeah.
And then at the very last one, somebody broke one of the very valuable statues that were on the property or whatever, so they couldn't do it anymore. But the concept of like a camp out type concert like really set in with us, and so wasn't long after that we decided, well, let's see if we can throw one ourselves. I think we had a friend that had some property in Granby, and so in 1982 we did this thing called Camp Creek on a friend of ours' property, and it was just us, and it was crazy. And it was good.
Yeah.
A
lot of people.
I don't remember how many people, but yeah.
But you felt like, okay, this could be a thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Was it on the hotline or was it stealth? You don't want the cops. If the cops find out the hotline, then you're done. It's the secret hotline. There's another hotline.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
The stealth hotline.
Yeah.
So that all precipitated, more of them. And then we did, after that one in 82 in Granby, we did 3 up in Maine. Okay. Some friend of ours had some property up there. And then after those 3 in Maine, we kind of like wore out our welcome in a bunch of different places. We did one in Escoheat, Rhode Island. We did one in Woodstock, Connecticut. And it's one of those things where we go and invade this campground or whatever. And then after once they go, no, we're not doing that with you.
Right. So I guess you can't blame them, I guess, in a way. Because you don't know how many people are really going to show up.
Right. And what's going to happen when they do.
Sure.
It's not just, it's not a family event. At least back in those days, it wasn't a family event.
Well, maybe families are created. There might be family creation events.
I don't know that I'd want to meet those kids, but yeah.
Family creation event. Initiate family initiate sequence or something. God. Yeah. So then you're like, we gotta. So anyway, you're probably about to tell me because I'm thinking you're going to run out of places because word's going to get out. So you're like, we got to plant.
So then Eamon Cronin hooked us up with ILCC, Indian Lookout Country Club, which is where they do the Harley rendezvous and stuff. And
Did I go there? Which one did I go to? I was at one.
You were?
Yeah. We played it like 5 in the morning.
Oh yeah, that was the one.
That place. Yeah,
yes,
that was cool.
That place. It was cool.
Yeah.
It's like biker security.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely had its. That was a really cool place, and we had some really good ones there.
Where was that?
That's in
Upstate New York.
yeah,
somewhere.
Duanesburg, New York.
Okay, yeah.
Or Mariahville, somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere
That
in
makes
area.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Then we
cool.
did we had some really good acts come in there.
And they were cool. Like you managed to be like, okay, we can do this, and we'll clean up, and it won't be like
yeah.
we're not going to destroy the joint. People.
Yeah, I mean, compared to the Harley Rendezvous, we were like,
Oh, I get it.
golden.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
They do that rendezvous, and it's bikers and blah blah blah. As long as like you could come in with like a pound of pot and an ounce of cocaine, and they wouldn't care. But if you came in with glass,
Right. Then it's your shutdown. You'll never. Yeah.
Exactly. You'll never get through the door. But
Wow.
so yeah. So that lasted a number of years. We got to have some great times there. We had some great acts. David Crosby.
Oh wow.
Tom Club. We got to play. Chris Franz and Tina Weymouth sat in with us and played
Yeah,
Life During Wartime with us. And
That's heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And then I got to sit in with Paul Barrere and Fred Tackett from Little Feat.
Wow.
They were doing a thing there. That was actually relatively recent.
Wow.
Relatively.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what the thing was, because we played like the morning before the big hoopty, and I don't remember who the hoopty was. Did Little Feat play more than once? Could it have been?
I don't think
All
so.
right, never mind.
I don't think so.
I don't remember I can't remember who the big thing was. There was a big thing.
Yeah, could probably so.
Yeah. Hey, well, that's cool.
Yeah,
So,
it was good.
yeah.
And then we kind of took a break for a number of years from that, and then the most recent ones have been at Camp Odata down in I'm blanking on the name, south of Norwich over there.
Yeah.
Can't think of the name, but a really nice Odata campground with the stages set up like on the beach, and there's a lake right there,
Yeah.
and it's very campgroundy and very kid friendly and
Yeah.
family oriented.
Because everyone's got kids now.
Everyone's got kids now.
Right.
Yep. And yeah, we've had some great experiences there. We didn't do it. We did it last year. We didn't do it this year.
Yeah.
But we'll probably do it next year.
So what's the difference between, well, how many are there? Because there's Camp Creek and then there's Strange Creek. What's that?
So Strange Creek started off as a festival that's promoted by a friend of ours, Mark Blanchette, who put together a festival when, I don't know if you remember, Strange Folk was a band back in the day. So it was basically Max Creek headlining one night and Strange Folk highlighting the next night, and then the name just stuck.
Oh, cool.
And so yeah.
So it's just another festival.
Just another festival, but not ours. But it has our name on it because of we headline it.
Do you guys? Okay, so you headline it, but it's not like Camp Creek is your thing.
Yes.
And that is someone else's thing, but you play at it.
Yes.
But you're not the organizers.
Right.
I got you. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Who organizes the Camp Creek thing?
Well, now that's kind of run by John Ryder and his wife Sally. They've kind of they have a business doing like corporate promotion events and things like that. And so we hadn't done a Camp Creek in a while, and we were interested in doing another one, and they seemed interested in putting it on.
Okay.
And so they kind of run the whole thing now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's wild.
It's all in the family.
Yeah. Right. And then there's I played with you one time, at least once at Wormtown. Now, who's that? I don't know.
That's the same people that do Strange Creek.
Oh, okay.
They do Wormtown. The Strange Creek is in the spring, and Wormtown's in the fall.
Oh, I see.
So yeah,
because I've done that a few times.
up in Greenfield.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yep.
That's awesome. So you guys what are you doing now? When is it supposed to be? Did it already happen?
Strange Creek already happened, and we'll be doing Wormtown, I think, September
Okay.
15th or something like
Yeah,
that.
right.
14th or 16th.
So
16th.
So it's still going.
Yeah.
Things are still happening.
Yep, those still happen.
Plug back in. Yeah, that's
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
What other playing you doing? Anything else?
I just came off the road with Mike Gordon.
Okay.
We did a 3-week tour.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah. Mike and I have been doing stuff together since 1997 actually. Done a bunch of like one-off projects.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, he had gone out to Hawaii and played with Bill Kreutzmann from the Grateful Dead, and Steve Kimmock,
Right.
guitar player, and
Yep.
they did a trio out in Hawaii, and so he was texting me the whole time saying, "Oh, this is amazing! This is amazing! You have to do this or whatever." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then he called me and said, "Hey, do you want to go play with me and Bill Kreutzmann in Costa Rica?" And I'd never met Kreutzmann or any of the Dead really, and so I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that." And so we went down and did a trio down there, and we did a benefit in Hako for the school system down there, and Kreutzmann enjoyed it so much he wanted to take it on the road, and Mike said, "I'm putting my own band together, so I can't, but feel free to, do something with Scott or whatever." And then Kreutzmann was like, "Well, can you recommend a bass player?" And Mike thought about it for a day or two, and then came back to him and said, "You should ask O'Teal."
Oh,
And
wow.
So
Hey, there you go.
So that was quite the moment.
Yeah, right.
O'Teal and Kreutzmann actually came to Boston because I had my day job or whatever, and they came to Boston to, just to try it in a rehearsal studio, and it was amazing. It was like, it was like we played the first song we played. It was Grateful Dead song, "Eyes of the World," and then jammed for 45 minutes. And at the end, it was like, oh, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that project kind of happened, and then right around the same time, Mike came to me and said, "I want to put together a band that's not just a one-shot deal. I want to put together a band that had some longevity and lasts or whatever." And at the same time, he and I started getting together and writing together. Writing music together.
That's cool. How'd you ever meet him in the first place? Just from around?
He used to come see Max Creek back before he went.
Oh, okay.
Back before Fish and all that stuff. When he was he grew up in Massachusetts, and he used to.
So in a way, Fish is almost children of Max Creek.
In a way,
yeah. Wow.
I mean, and he used to come when he moved to Burlington. He used to send his dad with a tape deck to our shows, so to record our shows, and then when we played in Burlington, he would come and watch us play, and Trey would come and watch us play at the same time. And
that's cool.
So that was kind of cool. And then the first time he apparently talked to me before this, but the first memory I have of talking to him, he showed up and he had a gig, and he had sheet music and a cassette, and he said, the sheet music is a transcription of your solo on my song Emotional Railroad, and here's a tape of the actual recording of that solo with Max Creek on the left channel and me playing bass on the right channel. And I'm like,
whoa,
that's pretty.
He was trying to get the gig?
No, I don't think he was trying to get the gig.
Or he was just saying, this is how into this I am.
Yes,
like, wow,
pretty much. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's killer.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So there you are. You've got Kreutzmann over here, Mike Gordon over there.
Yeah, it was like it was a good year.
Yeah. Huh.
So and so we started writing together in like 2008, 2009, and about 4 or 5 years later, released an album under his name where I had 50% writing credit on the whole album, basically, and kind of developed this method of writing. It took us a while to get going, but we kind of streamlined this method of writing music together, where we would get together for a weekend and using whatever media we had, we would record music and hums and bits and pieces of melody, and we would do object writing. There's a guy that teaches songwriting at Berkeley, Pat Pattison, who's written a book on how to write songs and object writing, where we basically just sit down, both of us, with a pen and a piece of paper, and we just pick a subject and we just write for 5 minutes on a timer and then stop. And
wow.
We go back and read each other's, and then go back and we write again, and then we take and go read it through and underline phrases, cool sounding phrases.
Oh, wow.
And then we take the phrases and we put them on index cards and tape them to the wall.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
Then we had all this music that we had recorded that didn't have any lyrics, and so we'd play this music, and he and I would each have a microphone, and we'd just with the wall of phrases.
Wow.
And just sing phrases over the instrumental stuff that we had written to whatever. And
wow.
And then
that's kind of wild.
Yeah, so we did that a few times, and then we get together on Skype every Wednesday night and refine everything and arrange everything.
Sure.
And yeah.
Wow. And that's called object writing?
Object writing. Well, the object writing is it's just spitting out ideas to get to get the creative stuff going. Or
that's
whatever.
Wild.
So anyway, so now we've released the third album that we've done writing together. Flying Games.
Okay.
And then this one actually, he because of the pandemic, there's a couple where he just.
And of course, he wrote the word flying, and you wrote the word games somewhere on a completely separate, and it becomes. Can you imagine? They're like, that's why I got 50%. So I wrote games. He said
right.
flying or whatever. Imagine. Sorry.
But yeah, so anyway, so that album just came out in May, and so I just finished a tour promoting that album.
That's cool. Who plays drums?
John Kimmock.
Oh, that's right. You said that. I'm sorry.
No, that was Steve Kimmock. This is Steve
all right.
This is Steve Kimmock's son, John, who's a rather remarkable drummer.
Huh.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
I gotta get caught up.
Yeah. A lot of names.
Yeah. No, that's killer. That's really cool. And then you still will put together a tour occasionally?
Yeah.
Behind an album or whatever, or
Yeah.
around an album or something like that?
Yep.
So once in a while you just get to hit the road, get out of town.
Get out of town for a few weeks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And
it's grueling, you know.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sleeping on a moving bus between shows, and it's a thing.
It's an adventure, I would imagine.
Yep.
Yep. But you don't have to do it forever. I mean, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, at least you guys are kind of making up your own. It's not like probably the old days where you get a record deal and the record company just you just go out forever to try to promote the record. Right. They don't care. You don't even know how long they got to keep going. Go. Now that we're older, you probably just go, here's how long I want to go out. Here's what I expect to happen, and try to.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I don't know if you follow my I have a YouTube channel of my comedy bits that I do when I'm driving around in my car.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, good. And I have this thing. I gotta see that. Well, yeah. Well, one of my things is the sad videos. You remember when we were kids? Every band, I'm a cowboy, or Journey. They're all sad on the bus. Like everyone had their endless tour song. Poison had the Every Rose.
Oh yeah.
Everybody, Home Sweet Home. Everybody had their songs about they want to go home. They're on the bus forever.
What's his name? Seeger.
Right. Seeger. Started it all. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I don't know if it's anything like that. But you're not trapped. You're just, you're going to book it yourself and go.
I mean, Mike's got his Fish band, so the good thing is that I don't have to survive. I have my day job.
Right.
And so I don't have to survive off the music. And so that kind of allows me to be more selective about what I do. But it also constrains what I'm able to do, so it's a double-edged sword there.
Well, you're going to retire someday, aren't you? From the day job?
Soon.
Maybe. Sorry, I didn't want to bring it up.
No. Hopefully soon. So, and beyond that, I do a lot of writing. I do a lot, I have a home studio in my basement. And I do a lot of writing and playing down there.
That's cool.
And then a friend of mine asked me to produce his album. And so I'm doing that. That's something that that's a direction that that I feel like I've always wanted to do. And
why not?
So I said, if you want somebody who's never produced an album and who's mostly deaf, I'm the guy.
Perfect. Wow. Yeah. But you're up for it.
Oh, yeah.
In your mind, what does it mean? What does producing mean? Because it can mean a lot of.
It means a lot of different things, and a lot of different producers produce different ways or whatever.
Well, I was thinking nowadays it's like you're the recordist, like you have to do everything. It's not like the old days where did you see Rick Rubin just sits there and goes nope.
Right.
And there's an engineer like Rick Rubin never. I would imagine nowadays you probably have to do everything.
No, actually, because my studio isn't up for that. I have my home studio is a home studio. I don't really have any outboard stuff, and I do have some mics, but I wouldn't want to do anything that I was going to release professionally down there with anybody else other than me or whatever. So the guy's name is John Spignesi, and he's
do you know John? I'm going to get him on. He's been hitting me up. All right.
Has he?
Yeah, John. Next week I'm going to call you. Okay.
Yeah. No, he's awesome. He's awesome.
This just happened. Okay.
So he came over and did a couple things. We wrote a couple things in my studio, and I recorded a couple of his in my studio, and then we got into the production thing, talked about it, and then so he's recording down in Connecticut, which is where I am now, but further south, Bethany, Connecticut. He's at a studio down there, so because he's been there before and he's done it a bunch of times. So there is an engineer, so I'm free to. I don't have to mind the store as far as that goes.
So what's your role as a producer?
My role is to kind of help John realize his vision, I guess. Bring out the best in in anybody that's performing. He's got his band, and they're all really cool and friendly and good players, and open to suggestions and all that stuff. And so it's I do play on a couple of tracks, but it's been really cool to be the instrument of inspiration for people. Like, try this. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that or whatever. So it's a very being the first time, it's a really cool experience.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. We'll get his side of it. He'll probably be like, "Oh man,
it's awful."
Yeah, Scott's the worst. He's the worst. He's telling us what to play. He played drums himself. He erased everything. You imagine? Talk to me about your drumming. We were starting to talk about this the other night. That's cool, man.
It's cool. I could probably. I wish I spend more time currently, like working on chops, working on my hands or whatever. But yeah, I've always been a closet drummer. Always wanted to play the drums.
Yeah.
It's just always been a thing. And back in the day, Bob Gosselin, Creek's original drummer, he was all-state, snare drum.
Oh,
and
wow.
So he taught me rudiments and all this other stuff. So
Killer.
So I do have a little bit of background.
Yep.
I got a nice set of pearls in my basement.
Cool.
That are mic'd up and tuned up, and they sound good.
And you just said, I'm gonna go deep. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play
sort
drums.
of, yeah. I mean, I record myself playing drums on the tracks that I'm doing down there, and when I'm playing, it just feels so good. And then cool. I go back and listen back, and I go, oh my God, this is awful. This is terrible. Just give it up.
No. Well, we were talking. What was that? We were talking about that. That's the curse. Is if you're a good musician on something else, it's like I'm learning to play dulcimer, which is easy. I'm not a guitar player, so for me it's just 3 string shapes and you just kind of figure out. But it's like like I'm playing, I go, man, this is beautiful, and then I record it and I'm like, this sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, and I realize that's the curse. Is like I know what I want it to sound like, and I know what I think it sounds like, and then I hear it and I'm like, you're not there yet.
Yeah,
I got to keep practicing to get muscle memory of certain things, and it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. It is. And drums is not.
Well, as long as you're having fun. I mean, if
yes.
I'm having fun, I love playing, so I have fun with it. So whatever. It's not. I'm never going to get a gig. You
don't know that.
As a dulcimer player, I do know that. There's no dulcimer gigs out there waiting for me.
So I've had a pedal steel since 1991 or whatever, and that is an instrument.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it is, but it's impossible to get to sound good. Like there is on this latest Mike Gordon album, I do have one pedal steel credit on one of the songs.
Oh, that's killer.
And it's like I recorded probably a half an hour's worth of pedal steel, and there's probably like 12 seconds worth of pedal steel on the song. So yeah.
Is it intuitive at all from guitar? I mean, there's got to be some skills that translate.
Like some of them.
Are you better off just like? Is it a disadvantage to translate? Like, are you better off just learning pedal steel from the beginning?
There's things that translate.
Okay.
So like the frets translate to a certain degree where. Open is E and the 3rd fret is G and the 5th fret is A. I mean, that kind of translates. But then when you get to the minor chords, it's nowhere near there anymore. Like it's just nowhere. So I'm pretty good as long as I'm playing major chords. And then when it gets to minor chords, I really got to think like, how do I get to this from? And it's very similar to drums, and you're dealing with a knee lever and foot pedals and slides. And
imagine?
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love that instrument.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we all have the dream. Like I would just sit around and play and listen to myself all day and go out.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a beautiful instrument.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I always dug it. I think somebody. Well, actually, I do know because oh no, Ed. Pedal steel. Oh no. Shinolas, Jim Chapdelaine. Oh no, I forgot Ed's last name. He's gonna kill me. Pedal steel player. I had him in here. Like pedal steel is just so weird because it's like solid state amp. Like what's that all about?
You know yeah. There is that.
You know what I mean?
PV.
Yeah,
it's like
weird.
they go-to amp.
Yeah, I wonder how that happened. Oh no, I'm so embarrassed.
Ed Iaruso?
Yes, Ed Iaruso, for God's sake. Oh, I'm sorry, Ed. I apologize. It's been a long... Are you tired?
Always.
I'm beat up from Sunday. I never played more notes in my entire life than I did that night. I'm exhausted. That was the third night in a row for me.
I know. Yeah, you guys. I was kind of. I hadn't touched the guitar in a week, so I was kind of cold, and you guys were all warmed up and hot.
Well, on just a short run. Did you hear? So, like at the very end, that we get done with Kashmir, and Jeff turns to me and he goes, "Moby Dick," and I said, "No." Are you kidding me? I need to go lay in ice right now. Like, you want me to do a drum solo now? Like, I can't do a drum solo ever, let alone we just played for 3 hours.
Your drum solos are amazing. Your drum solos are mind-bending.
Good thing I didn't do one. We would have seen how mind-bending. I'm like, no, not after playing for that one. I mean, I was warmed up, but I was already thinking about, I need to stand up and let the pain run down my legs and out through my toes. Like after a while, that's what happens is you just like, I feel like I get hit by a truck and all I could think of is one more song and I can stand up. Because it's like when you sit in a car for that long.
Oh, yeah.
And, and that's all it is. It's just age.
Yep.
Like after a while, I'm like, I need to stand up. Because like I'm filling with pain.
And then even standing up is like a slow process.
Yeah. Not like it used to be.
No.
But it was just funny because poor Jeffy gets all excited. Moby Dick. And I'm thinking, are you high? Like, I'm like, there's no way in hell I have a drum solo in me right now. I'm like, are you kidding? But anyway.
So as a amateur drummer, watching a lefty play a right hand,
it's all screwed.
It's fascinating.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's totally. I mean, Ringo Starr, it's this whole other. You get all this other stuff that you can't get as a right-handed drummer, I think.
All right. Well, real quick. I mean, maybe you'll understand this. So so the Ringo thing is, he's left-handed, but he plays righty.
Yeah.
Okay. So his thing is when he starts his fills, he leads
with his left.
Leads with his left. I'm the exact opposite. I play open lefty, and I start my fills with my right.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's why I don't play typical fills because I can't. I mean, I can, but I get mixed up. So it's literally like Ringo. I make up my own wacky things to cover for the fact that I can't do that. There's a lot of. I mean, I can, but I hear the regular. You've got to be a thing with you like that. But like, there's some things that come naturally to other people that I'm just like, oh yeah, I can, but not really.
There's actually.
So I make up I have a whole different vocabulary of licks. So
yeah,
I don't really play like everybody else.
Which is that's exactly what you want. You don't want to play like anybody else. You don't want to sound like anybody else.
Well, as just real quick, like as a teacher, sometimes I
have your book, by the way.
Hey, you're the one that bought it. You want a baseline. There's a baseline of skill that I feel like everybody should have. But there comes a point where, if I can explain to a kid if they're old enough to kind of get it, you don't want them to slack or get too lazy, but sometimes your limitations can dictate your style.
Always your limitations dictate your style.
Well, then
I would say that, yes. Right. I know exactly where you're
So you can embrace your limitations, but.
It's kind of like, I used to write everything on 4-track. It was like four-track reels for a long time, and then it was 4-track cassette. Oh. And when I started doing the digital DAW thing, it's like, well, now you got like as many tracks as you want. And you can, by the way, you can have these plugins that'll make any sound that you want. It's like, it's paralyzing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what do I do? Before it was like, well, I know what I was going to do because I only have a guitar, a bass, an electric piano, and 4 tracks to work with.
Yeah. And you're already thinking if I bounce what I would bounce, I maybe can get 6 tracks out of this or whatever.
Exactly.
And that's it. Yeah.
And if I sing at the same time I'm playing, I can get, and that's what most of my 4 tracks are. It's like, it doesn't sound like 4 tracks.
I did the same thing. Yeah, I've been there too. I made, tons of stuff on the 4-track cassette player, and then once you get into that other world, you spend half of your time deciding what. Yeah,
I found it paralyzing. I found I couldn't decide like where to start. Like what should I do to start? I can do any of this stuff. And it's just So definitely your limitations define your style.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't want to run out of time because it seemed like it went by too fast. So I'm not going to ask you to come back because I appreciate you
I would
came
love to
all the
come
way
back.
from
I would
Worcester.
love to come back. This is
Come back
fun.
someday because I want to talk more. I don't, I feel like it kind of flew by. I have questions that will prompt, just like a couple of wrap up questions. Was there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to briefly? Anything that you came to say?
No.
That you don't feel like everything's cool?
I feel like everything's cool.
You're just gonna keep rocking and rolling.
Just gonna keep doing what I do.
Okay. That's
Hopefully get to produce more albums. That's kind of the area where I'm kind of
right.
pushing now.
Yeah. So that might be next. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Desert Island albums.
How many?
5.
5.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Or so, because I know what you mean.
Wow.
It's impossible.
It
Just
is
give us an idea of who you are, who are some of your heroes,
All right, so
etc.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
One Beck album, I'm not sure which.
Sure. Midnight Vultures. We'll just leave it at that.
There you go. Kind of Blue.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure.
There's a band, well, it's not really a band, but there's a band, Delirium, that I used to listen to. It's 2 guys up in Canada. Do you know them?
No.
Oh, they basically, it's electronica.
Okay.
But they write these electronica tracks and then they ship them out to female vocalists all over the world.
Oh, that's cool.
Who write lyrics and sing over them and send them back. So they've done a couple of albums that are kind of, that would be a desert island for me.
That's cool.
Jeez. Let It Be, maybe, or Abbey Road, one of those two.
Yeah. Sure. Did you watch the whole Get Back thing? Did you watch all 10?
Twice.
Right?
Twice. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
we could talk about, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy,
Yes.
A
whole different impression of what
That's right.
and like everybody thought, at the end they were all fighting and everything. They're having a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's some tension or whatever.
Yeah.
But Let It Be is an album I owned, when I was in high school or whatever, and I know those songs
Sure.
so well. And
Sure.
to see the germinations
Isn't that crazy?
and the progression. And it's just,
See the actual take.
yes.
Like you picture in your mind and you're like, you're seeing it, right? They're doing it right now. Like
Yes.
this is the take that was on the album.
Right, yeah.
That's
No, I
insane.
thought that's so well done.
So crazy.
Yeah.
You know how long it took? Well, I think I kind of figured this out, but I didn't understand it until I saw it. But you remember like being younger and looking at pictures from those sessions and thinking that John Lennon's playing a jazz master or something, a guitar.
Yeah.
And then you realize, that's a Fender 6-string. He's playing bass.
Yes. Oh, the Fender 6-string bass.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it looks like a jazz master.
Yes.
And
it has a distinctive sound.
Yeah.
Like you can hear it. Like once you see that and you hear it on the take.
Right.
it's
And
like
then you
it
start
has
to
it-
realize.
Yeah, you realize.
But I'm just like, I get it. When Paul goes, because they're trying to play live. So when Paul goes to piano, they're doing Long and Winding Road or whatever, and John's playing that. And I'm like, he's playing bass.
Yes.
And then when I saw the thing, I'm like, it's plugged into the bassman. I'm like, okay, he's the bass player. I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to understand that because I would see the pictures and go, it just didn't register. Then I'm like, you're playing bass right now. That's what this is.
Lennon's guitar playing blew me away in that whole thing. Like,
Right?
like
lap
you
steel.
kind of know what George Harrison can do, and you know what Paul McCartney can do from all this stuff on the solo albums and stuff like that. But like Lennon's parts on the song "Get Back" are just like, and like everything he does, like that just kind of that kind of blew me out. Like his rhythm guitar playing just kind of blew me out, and then the leads on "Get Back."
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, he was heading towards being a lead player in a way because he played lap steel.
Yes. Yep.
And I'm like, so he was into it still. Like he was trying to do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
And also cool to see the Abbey Road germinations that are also in that, know, that they had just started,
I know. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ringo just sounds great no matter what.
Yeah.
It's
Brilliant.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool when they bring in something new and Ringo's just, he's like, he doesn't know it and he's just holding it down.
Yeah.
And yet it's still, like, it's so solid anyway.
Yeah,
you
can't mess with Ringo. No. Desert Island food.
Desert island food. Wow. Some sort of yellow curry chicken.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Or pappardelle bolognese.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
That's meat sauce. It's like really thick noodles. Pappardelle is like thick fettuccine.
Yeah.
And meat sauce.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good. All right. Is there any particular concert that you can remember seeing that changed your whole trajectory or whatever?
Wow. Well, I mean, the first time I saw the Dead was my first concert ever.
Oh, I don't know.
And the first time I did Mushrooms all at once, and that kind of changed.
Yeah, I think that would do it.
That's the big trajectory change right there. But since then, nothing that hit me that hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that was, what were you before that? Like, how would you define, like, how did it change you? Like, it was a possibility of jamming? Like, what was it? Or what were you before?
So before I was Led Zeppelin.
Sure.
Deep Purple, Steppenwolf, you know, it was very... I love the sound of
heavy rock.
Heavy rock. I love the sound of that guitar. And so I had already started listening to the Dead because the other guys in the band were listening to the Dead. And so I had Europe 72 and stuff. And it just seemed kind of light and floaty to me, you know, and that's kind of cool. But then I went there and they had the Wall of Sound. I got to see the Wall of Sound.
So you were like, this has it all, kind of.
This is, it's like, it's like a journey. You know, like especially when they start the improv stuff, it's like they grab you with the song and then they just take you on this journey that, you know, that you can't get without from just playing a song. You know what I mean? Because they're improvising, they're feeding off the energy. I mean, and this is kind of influenced like, you know, when in Max Creek and in Mike Gordon band, and you know, in all the playing that I do that has that kind of improvisational stuff going on there, that's a whole thing to me of being in the moment, capturing the energy in the moment, you know, looking around and playing off of people, playing off of objects that you see, playing off of the other band members, and just combining that and not thinking about what you're playing, but just total reflex reaction, you know, that kind of a thing. And so that was kind of the beginning of that, I guess.
Yeah. You were like, this is a thing.
This is a thing.
A thing you could do. Wow, that's cool. And you think that's what they were doing? Or that's what you perceived that they were doing?
That's what I perceived that they were doing. I mean, obviously...
must be what they're doing, right? That must be why, right? Because it's a like an alchemy between... That's why no two shows are the same, right? Because the audience that you're reacting...
I did audition for Phil Lesh and Friends back. Mark and I both auditioned for Phil and Friends. And so when we were...
Wow.
His philosophy was that it's New Orleans jazz. That that everybody's playing lead all at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody's taking a solo. That everybody's leading all at the same time. So that's kind of one element of it all. And then, you know, being able to, one of the big things about being in that kind of a situation is being able to hear while you and play at the same time, like being able to focus on what someone else is doing while you're doing your thing. You know what I mean? And so this kind of split mind kind of a thing. And then I don't know. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Yeah, that's
and
fun.
So, but right at the very beginning, I was going to say there's something about being in a band with somebody for 50 years where you develop this ability, this chemistry that you don't get with anybody else. And even in, you know, other bands that jam or whatever, there's an element of that, but it's not like being in a band with 50 years with somebody where it's just like I can close my eyes and I can kind of know where everybody...
You haven't, but yet it's interesting, you have not heard every possibility that your combination can make.
True.
Which is cool, right? That's why you still do it.
Yes.
Because you can feel them, what they're going to do, but you haven't heard it all.
No, definitely not. And in fact, I mean, that's kind of what makes it so that I'm not bored out of my mind after playing the same songs for 50 years. It's like you pull into a song and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be different. There's no question about it.
Is there it's just a crazy question, but like if you're gonna improv like that, if you get to the part of the song where you know it's gonna improv, is it a race to who's gonna get the ball first? Like who's gonna pull it in the direction? Or is it just an intuitive, like, can you tell who's gonna start leading it and then just go, oh, okay, let me. Like, I know that's a crazy question.
It is.
Because I mean, like when we play
question.
with Jeff, it's kind of because just the way that we have to do it is that like it's like, okay, you're soloing,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's usually like if it's your song, you solo second, the other guy goes first, and then you close it, and that's kind of how it's structured.
The unwritten rule.
So there's not really too. Well, I mean, whatever. But like, so how do you guys do it?
It's interesting because, are you familiar with modes?
Yeah.
So modes are like, they say, oh, just play on the white keys, and it's the D mode is the Dorian. If you start on the E, it's the whatever it is, or the F or whatever. So basically, you can say for any set of notes, it can be in any of 7 keys. And so basically the bass player determines what key you're in at any given point in time and what mode you're in, kind of a thing. So there's that. And then there's also, Mark can play and he can just change one of the notes. And by changing one of the notes, he's changed the mode and he's indicated to me that he wants to go here.
And that puts you in a different mode.
Puts you in a different mode, and also kind of shifts like where's the chords, where's the center of this whole thing or whatever. So there's all these little technical nuances or whatever, but at the same time, there's something to be said where everybody just goes for it and things happen that you can't explain, that you can't, that it's magical, it's mystical. A lot of it is coming from there and going through our heads and, through the top of our heads and out our fingers without any kind of thought, so.
Yeah. Well, that's what you want to kind of get to.
Yeah.
So that's what the experience with those people, at least you the confidence to know that like, all right, we can go wherever we need to go.
Kind of, yeah, and not be afraid to train wreck, not be afraid to fail, and because out of the chaos comes order. You know what I mean?
Like that's what they say.
So,
or more chaos.
Or more chaos. I'm good with either personally. But.
Well, yeah, no, it's if it's hard. I'm not an improv. Believe it or not, I don't consider myself an improv guy. I'm a song guy. So it's really hard for me when we're in those scenarios to like, I'm just literally letting other people move my hands. And that's the way I do it.
Yes.
Because I'm just kind of like,
That's kind of it. You're letting everything around you move your hands.
Right.
It's funny because, we've gone through some drummers or whatever. And as the drummers come in, I kind of have to explain certain things to them, like playing in 1, and so there's no 4/4. You're not always landing on the 4.
Wow.
You're not always landing on 8.
Yeah.
You can land on 3, and then the next time you can land on 7 or whatever. You're just playing in 1 without a downbeat because it's so easy to be like to fall into that 4/4 thing, but it's like that's gonna limit your freedom.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean?
We never went that out.
No.
I'm always okay. So are you disappointed that I'm always in form?
No,
because I don't know any because I don't have a lot of experience. You know what I mean? Like I'm still thinking of, if we're still in a 12 bar or we're, I'm still because I think that's what guitarists is. Me, you, Jeff, and Dave. It's more song, but
yes,
right.
Yes.
So we're not completely. I didn't know I could do that. Okay, this changes everything. So I could play in 1. What time signature?
So, for example,
1?
as an example,
that's funny.
There was something that we were playing where we had broken out of the form, but we were still in 4/4, and I started doing this repeating lick, and the repeating lick sounded like it was going to end on the next one, and I didn't. I just let it keep going over, so that now we're no longer in the 8-bar phrase where we've gone over the 8-bar phrase, and now who knows where the 8-bar phrase can be, kind of a thing. And I like pushing those envelopes. I like messing with drummers' heads. I like playing things.
Is that what was happening?
In 5, I like playing things in
that's
you
funny.
know what I mean, in 7.
And of course, I think that we're still in 4 and you're just playing over the bar line.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's
the 2 ways to look at the same thing.
Yes, definitely. So.
Hey, well, maybe that's why it kind of works in a way, because we're doing the same thing, but from different.
Totally.
And Jeff has his own thing, and we have our own thing.
Yeah, it's a great chemistry because we bring our individual things in there, our individual styles in there, and combine them into this thing.
I hope so.
That's greater than the sum of its parts.
Right. That's what that's the way it's supposed to be. We're going over. I don't want to run out. All right, we're good. That camera's still running. I don't care if that one is because that one's on me. So who cares? Everybody knows what I look like. We're good?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. We're going to go because we ran over, but you got to come back because we just got started.
I know. There's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, Scott Murawski came all the way from Worcester to be here. So
thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
I asked you a long time ago.
I know you did.
Yeah, because I wanted you pretty early, but I'm glad that it finally happened. And come back. We'll give it a while, and then you come back again.
Yeah,
definitely.
Happy to.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. That was fun the other night.
Yes.
Scott Murawski, guitar player, legendary.
In his own mind, anyway.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know what? Yours is the only mind that counts. You know what I'm saying? All right, I'm going to press the button. There we go. All right, John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Come over the bridge, go through one set of lights, turn around, look for us. Red neon light in the window. You can have your own podcast here in our beautiful studio. Dave will tell you how. Tell your friends. I'm going to reach out to John Spignesi for next week. Okay, that's going to happen right now.
Awesome.
All right. Scott Murawski, thank you very much for making the trip. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
See you next time. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.